Okay, here we are. This is a muscle fiber, also known as a muscle cell. It's very long, right? Remember, the skeletal muscle fibers are striated, and that's because you've got these things here, striated. It's multinucleated, skeletal muscle. They're parallel to one another, right? You saw that in the histology, in the microscope. And then the nuclei are squished to one side. See? Here it is. It's squished to one side. Here's another one there. This is skeletal muscle. Now, a muscle fiber is also known as a muscle cell, okay? And the outside of the muscle cell is the cell membrane, but it has a special name called sarcolemma. Sarco means flesh or muscle. Lemma means covering or sheath. So that is the sarcolemma here. But this thing is connective tissue that surrounds a muscle fiber, and that's called endomysium. Endo for the inner part, because this is really, really deep, microscopic. MYS means muscle, miss, and then IUM, I don't know what that means, it just means noun. Okay, so endomysium is this. So I think you need to know that a muscle fiber, is one, and it's surrounded by endomysium. If you take a bunch of muscle fibers, no, put it in the bag, This whole bunch is surrounded by something. Oh, there it is. It's a group of muscle fibers called the perimysium. And then if I take a group and a group and a group and a group, and I put a big rubber band around that whole thing, which would give it a muscle, that's called the epimysium. So the endomysium is around one muscle fiber, the perimysium is around a group of muscle fibers known as the fascicle, and the epimysium is around the entire muscle. Okay. Now, so this is one muscle fiber. Again, those are the nuclei right there. Here you can see more nuclei. There should be a mitochondrion somewhere. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Sarcolemma, endomysium. This is the end of the axon for the neuron. This is myelinated, and you can even, so a myelinated, this is in the peripheral nervous system. So this is actually made by the Schwann cell. She taught you that? Okay, so this is the nucleus of the Schwann cell. This is the myelin sheath, and you can even see how it wrapped around and around and around and around. So that's the axon right there. But then the myelin sheath is just wrapped around, and it's yellow because it's made up of adipose tissue with a little protein in it too. Okay? And then this whole thing outside is called the neurolemma. So the outer part is the neurolemma. This stuff is the myelin sheath made by wrapping and wrapping around of the Schwann cell. This is the axon, and then that would be the axolemma right there. Here's the nucleus. So, and then between these things would be the node of Ranvier right here, allowing for saltatory conduction. Okay? So then here we have, so that was part of the axon. And then you get down here, and these are the terminal dendrites. Some people call it telodendria. And then right here is where this neuron is going to connect onto the muscle. So they call it neuromuscular junction. Some people call this a motor unit. You don't need to call it that. There's a synapse, is the space between those two areas. Okay? So now, once we look in here, because this is a muscle fiber, all these little things are myofibrils. A myofibril is an organelle. So instead of it being an organelle that's round, it's an organelle that's long. And that's why the nuclei are squished, because there's so many myofibrils. Because myofibrils are the ones in charge of making the muscle fiber contract. So this is a myofibril right here. The very long dark line is called Z line or Z disc. So from one dark line to another dark line is known as one sarcomere. Mere, or M-E-R, means unit. Sarco means flesh, so it's a fleshy unit. Right in the middle is the M line. That's the dotted M. That is the dotted black line. So right between the M line is right smack in the middle between this pink stuff. The pink stuff is the dark part, the dark band. And what vowel is in the word dark? A. So that's the A band. Now, if you look in the Z disc or Z line, that's right smack in the middle of the light band. And what vowel is in there? I. So that's the I band. Okay? And then Z disc to Z disc is the sarcomere. I think that's it. Yeah.